Jane Austen. Jane Austen, the renowned English novelist, is celebrated for her insightful and witty literary contributions, particularly her novels set among the English middle and upper classes during the early 19th century. Jane Austen was born on December 16, 1775, in Steventon, Hampshire, England. She was one of 8 children in a close knit family. She began writing at an early age and developed her literary talents during her teenage years. She completed her first major work, First Impressions, which later became Pride and Prejudice around 1799. In the late 1790s, she worked on Eleanor and Marianne, which later transformed into Sense and Sensibility. This marked the transition from her initial epistolary style to a more traditional third person narrative. Jane Austen's literary career took shape with her brother Henry's assistance, who helped her negotiate with publishers. Her novels were initially published anonymously. Her first published novel was Sense and Sensibility in 1811, followed by Pride and Prejudice in 1813, which she affectionately referred to as her own darling child. Mansfield Park was published in 1814, Emma in 1815, and Northanger Abbey in 1880. Her dedication of Emma to the Prince Regent reflected her growing recognition and admiration for her work. In 1816, Jane Austen's health deteriorated, likely due to Addison's disease. She sought medical treatment in Winchester but did not recover. On July 18, 1817, Jane Austen passed away in Winchester. Her brothers Henry and Cassandra sought medical help for her illness but could not save her. She was laid to rest at Winchester Cathedral. Jane Austen's significant novels include Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, Emma, Northanger Abbey, Persuasion, and Lady Susan. A couple of her works remained incomplete, which include The Watsons and Sanditon. Jane Austen's novels continue to be celebrated for their keen social observation, humor, and deep insights into the lives and concerns of early 19th century women, making her one of the most beloved and enduring novelists in English literature. Sense and Sensibility. Sense and Sensibility is a novel by Jane Austen published in 1811. Here is an overview of the novel's plot, themes, and its significance in Jane Austen's literary career. Summary. Sense and Sensibility follows the Dashwood family, particularly the sisters Eleanor and Marianne. After their father's death, the Dashwood sisters, along with their mother and younger sister, become financially disadvantaged. Their half brother John inherits the family estate Norland Park, and his wife Fanny convinces him not to provide adequately for his sisters. This leaves the Dashwood women in a precarious position. They move to Barton Cottage in Devonshire, a more modest home, thanks to the generosity of their distant relative, Sir John Middleton. Here, Eleanor and Marianne navigate love, romance, and heartbreak. Marianne, a young and emotional character, initially falls for the charming John Willoughby, who later deserts her for a wealthy heiress, breaking her heart. Eleanor, in contrast, is more reserved, and her affection is reserved for Edward Ferrars. However, she discovers that Edward had secretly been engaged to Lucy Steele for years. When the engagement is revealed, Edward is disowned by his family. Ultimately, Eleanor and Edward find happiness together. The novel explores themes of sense and sensibility through the characters of Eleanor and Marianne. Eleanor's sensible approach to life and love contrasts with Marianne's emotional and impulsive nature. Sense and Sensibility was Jane Austen's first published novel. The novel showcases her trademark qualities, keen social observation, insightful characterization, and her witty narrative style. One of the central themes of the novel is the balance between sense and sensibility. Through Eleanor and Marianne, Austen explores the idea that an ideal life should incorporate both qualities, emphasizing the importance of emotional restraint and practicality, as well as the expression of genuine feelings. The novel was well received upon publication, and its success marked the beginning of Austen's literary career. Her ability to satirize the society of her time, particularly the restrictions and social expectations placed on women, is evident in Sense and Sensibility. Numerous adaptations of Sense and Sensibility have been created, including film, stage, and television versions. The 1995 film adaptation, directed by Ang Lee and featuring Emma Thompson and Kate Winslet as the Dashwood sisters, played a significant role in reviving interest in Jane Austen's works, and Emma Thompson won an Academy Award for her adapted screenplay. Sense and Sensibility remains a beloved classic, and its themes of love, societal expectations, and the balance between sense and sensibility continue to resonate with readers and audiences. Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice is a novel by Jane Austen published in 1813. It's one of Austen's most famous works and is considered a classic of English literature. Pride and Prejudice revolves around the life and experiences of the Bennet family, particularly focusing on the second eldest daughter, Elizabeth Bennet. The Bennet family consists of Mr. and Mrs. Bennet and their five daughters, Jane, Elizabeth, Mary, Catherine or Kitty, and Lydia. The story is set in rural England during the early 19th century. The novel begins with a famous opening line: "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife." This statement sets the tone for the novel's exploration of social class, relationships, and societal expectations. A wealthy and eligible bachelor, Mr. Charles Bingley, moves into the neighborhood and soon becomes a suitor for Jane Bennet. However, Mr. Bingley's close friend, the proud and reserved Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy, is initially unimpressed with the Bennet family's social standing. This leads to tension between Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet, who was sharp-witted and independent. As the story unfolds, misunderstandings, personal prejudices, and societal norms play a significant role in the relationships and judgments of the characters. The novel explores themes of pride and prejudice, love and money, and the pursuit of personal happiness. Over the course of the novel, Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy's interactions lead to personal growth and self-awareness. The story ultimately reveals how first impressions can be misleading and how overcoming pride and prejudice can lead to genuine love. Major characters. Elizabeth Bennet, the second eldest Bennet sister and the novel's protagonist. She is known for her wit, intelligence, and strong sense of self. Her journey throughout the novel is one of personal growth and realization. Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy, a wealthy and proud gentleman who initially appears aloof and judgmental. He becomes a central figure in the story and undergoes significant character development. Jane Bennet, the eldest Bennet sister known for her beauty and gentle character. She forms a romantic attachment to Mr. Bingley. Mr. Charles Bingley, a wealthy and kind-hearted gentleman who becomes Jane Bennet's love interest. Mr. Bennet, the father of the Bennet family. He is known for his wit and humor, but often avoids dealing with family matters. Mrs. Bennet, the mother of the Bennet family, primarily concerned with marrying off her daughters to wealthy suitors. Lydia Bennet, the youngest Bennet sister, characterized by her impulsive behavior. Pride and Prejudice is celebrated for its exploration of social class, societal norms, and the complexities of human relationships. It delves into themes such as the role of women in early 19th century, the importance of marriage, and the impact of individual character on love and relationships. The novel is also known for its character development, particularly that of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. Their personal growth, self-reflection, and eventual mutual understanding are central to the story. Austen's narrative style is marked by wit, irony, and social commentary. She uses the characters and their interactions to critique the superficiality and pretentiousness of society while emphasizing the value of true love and genuine character. Mansfield Park. Mansfield Park is a novel by Jane Austen first published in 1814. It is known for its serious and moral tone, discussing themes of religion, moral duty, and social class. Major characters. Fanny Price, the novel's protagonist, a poor and unassuming cousin of the Bertram family. She is compassionate, morally upright, and often overshadowed by her wealthier relatives. Sir Thomas Bertram, the head of the Bertram family and the owner of Mansfield Park. He is often absent due to his business in Antigua. Lady Bertram, Sir Thomas's wife, a languid and somewhat indifferent woman who prefers leisure and relaxation. Edmund Bertram, Fanny's cousin and confidant. He is training to become a clergyman and is morally upright. Maria and Julia Bertram, the elder Bertram daughters. Maria's engagement and later marriage to Mr. Rushworth are central to the plot. Tom Bertram, the elder son of the Bertram family. He is initially depicted as a roustabout and spends much of this time partying and socializing. Mrs. Norris, the sister of Lady Bertram. She is a busybody who is overly critical of Fanny and often favors the wealthy and influential Crawfords. Mary and Henry Crawford, the siblings who arrive at Mansfield Park and bring excitement to the household. They are both charming but have their own moral flaws. Mansfield Park tells the story of Fanny Price, a young girl from a poor family who is sent to live with her wealthy relatives, the Bertrams, at their country estate Mansfield Park. Fanny's mother married beneath her, and her father is a disabled and alcoholic former sailor. She is sent to live with her aunt and uncle to relieve her family of the financial burden. At Mansfield Park, Fanny is mostly neglected and mistreated, with the exception of her cousin Edmund, who becomes her closest friend and confidant. The Bertram family consists of Sir Thomas and Lady Bertram, their daughters Maria and Julia, and their two sons Tom and Edmund. Lady Bertram is indolent. Sir Thomas is frequently away due to his business in Antigua, and Mrs. Norris, Lady Bertram's sister, is overly strict and often critical of Fanny. The arrival of the lively and charming Crawfords, Mary and Henry, adds excitement to life at Mansfield Park. Henry initially flirts with Maria but also toys with Julia's affections. Mary is initially interested in Tom but eventually turns her attention to Edmund. Their presence disrupts the daily routines and interactions of the Bertram family. The novel explores themes of love, social expectations, morality, and personal growth. As the story unfolds, secrets are revealed, romantic attachments are formed, and moral choices are made. Fanny Price's journey involves personal growth, self-discovery, and her eventual acceptance by the Bertram family. Her steadfast moral principles and strength of character lead her to a fulfilling and happy life. Emma. Emma is a novel by Jane Austen, first published in 1815, though the title page lists the publication date as 1816. It explores themes of youthful hubris, romantic misunderstandings, and the complexities of social class. Set in the fictional village of Highbury, the story revolves around the life and matchmaking efforts of its protagonist, Emma Woodhouse. The novel introduces Emma Woodhouse as a young woman who is handsome, clever, and rich, living a comfortable and happy life in the village of Highbury. She is well liked by the community with an affectionate father and a close family friend, Mr. Knightley, who often acts as her moral compass. Despite her favorable circumstances, Emma becomes an amateur matchmaker convinced of her skill in pairing couples. Her first matchmaking target is her close friend Harriet Smith, whom she persuades to reject a marriage proposal from a local farmer, Robert Martin, whom Emma believes is beneath Harriet's station. Emma encourages Harriet to set her sights on the local vicar, Mr. Elton, who, to Emma's surprise, ends up declaring his love for Emma instead. Emma is humiliated by Mr. Elton's proposal and departure to Bath. Harriet is heartbroken by the rejection, and Emma feels responsible for her friend's unhappiness. Emma's mistakes and misjudgments serve as a central theme throughout the novel. The arrival of Jane Fairfax, the niece of Miss Bates, and Frank Churchill, the son of Emma's former governess, adds further complications to Emma's social circle. Emma's opinions of these newcomers change over time. Mr. Churchill captures her initial interest while Jane is regarded with jealousy. Frank Churchill and Jane become secretly engaged, which shocks the community. Mr. Knightley and Emma realize they share mutual feelings and he proposes to her. In the end, there are three couples formed: Jane and Frank, Harriet and Robert, and Emma and Mr. Knightley. The novel concludes with the promise of happiness and personal growth for its characters. Major characters. Emma Woodhouse, the novel's protagonist, a young woman described as handsome, clever, and rich, and is often well-intentioned but prone to meddling and making misguided judgments. Mr. Knightley, a close friend of Emma and a prominent member of the Highbury community, he is often the voice of reason and morality in the story. Harriet Smith, a friend of Emma whose romantic interests are manipulated by Emma's matchmaking attempts. Mr. Elton, the local vicar who, to Emma's surprise, proposes to her instead of Harriet. Jane Fairfax, the orphaned niece of Miss Bates, who initially creates feelings of jealousy in Emma. Frank Churchill, the son of Emma's former governess, whose arrival in Highbury sparks interest and speculation. Miss Bates, an elderly, talkative member of Highbury society and the mother of Jane Fairfax. Robert Martin, a local farmer who proposes to Harriet Smith. Emma is a novel that explores the consequences of youthful arrogance and misguided matchmaking. The titular character, Emma Woodhouse, initially believes in her ability to arrange romantic pairings for others, despite having no experience in matters of the heart. Her actions lead to a series of misunderstandings, disappointments, and heartaches, especially for her friend, Harriet Smith. As the story unfolds, Emma experiences personal growth and self-awareness, learning from her mistakes and the resulting consequences. The novel demonstrates the complexities of class distinctions, social expectations, and the challenges of finding genuine love and happiness. Jane Austen's Emma is considered a classic of English literature, celebrated for its vivid characters, social commentary, and the transformation of its heroine. It's a story of self-discovery, romance, and the importance of understanding one's own limitations. Northanger Abbey. Northanger Abbey is a novel by Jane Austen published posthumously in 1870. It's one of Austen's earlier works and offers a unique blend of satire, romance, and Gothic parody. The novel introduces Catherine Morland, a 17-year-old from a small village where she lives with her family. She is a rather unremarkable young woman who leads a sheltered life filled with the ordinary concerns of her family. However, her life takes a dramatic turn when she is invited to visit Bath, a fashionable resort town in England, by the Allens, a wealthy childless couple. Catherine, who is a voracious reader of Gothic novels, is thrilled to leave her small village behind and embark on this adventure. In Bath, Catherine makes new friends, including the Thorpes and the Tilneys. She meets the charming and witty Henry Tilney and quickly develops an infatuation with him. She also befriends Isabella Thorpe, who shares her love for Gothic novels. Isabella, in turn, is in love with Catherine's brother James. The Thorpes, who are eager to form advantageous marriages, attempt to manipulate Catherine and James to suit their own desires. Despite John Thorpe's overbearing attempts to court her, Catherine is falling deeply in love with Henry Tilney. She also becomes friends with Henry's polite and quiet sister Eleanor. The Morland family seems to have more money than the Thorpes, which causes some tension. The story continues with Catherine receiving an invitation to visit Northanger Abbey, the Tilney family's home. There, her penchant for Gothic novels and her overreactive imagination lead to misunderstandings and comic mishaps. She mistakenly believes that General Tilney, Henry's father, may have committed a murder. Henry sets the record straight and Catherine learns of Mrs. Tilney's natural death. Catherine also learns of the scandal surrounding Isabella, who flirted with Captain Tilney. Despite the challenges and misunderstandings, her love for Henry continues to grow. General Tilney, however, disapproves of their relationship and throws Catherine out of Northanger Abbey. Henry follows Catherine and proposes to her, going against his father's wishes. Eleanor marries a wealthy man, and General Tilney eventually approves of Catherine and Henry's marriage. Major themes of the novel: love and marriage. Love and marriage are central themes in Northanger Abbey. The novel explores various types of romantic relationships, their complexities, and the social norms and expectations associated with marriage. High society. The novel satirizes the conventions and behaviors of high society, especially in Bath, where characters often prioritize social status and material wealth. Life lived as in a Gothic novel. The novel parodies the Gothic genre, emphasizing the contrast between Catherine's romantic fantasies influenced by Gothic novels and realities of her life. Bildungsroman. Northanger Abbey is a coming-of-age novel that follows Catherine's growth, self-discovery, and increasing maturity as she navigates the complexities of society and relationships. The value of reading. The novel underscores the impact of literature on individuals' perceptions and behaviors. Catherine's obsession with Gothic novels affects her worldview and contributes to misunderstandings and humorous situations. The importance of time. The passage of time and its impact on characters' lives and relationships is a recurring theme. Characters evolve and mature over time, leading to changes in their circumstances and desires. Northanger Abbey is known for its playful approach to storytelling and its witty exploration of social norms and human nature. It's a novel that offers both satire and romance, making it a delightful addition to Jane Austen's body of work. Persuasion. Persuasion is a novel by Jane Austen published posthumously in 1817. It's a novel of maturity and subtlety, exploring themes related to second chances in love and the impact of persuasion on individuals' lives. Persuasion centers on the Elliot family of Kellynch Hall, a family of minor nobility facing financial difficulties due to their extravagant lifestyle and mismanagement of their estate. In an attempt to reduce their expenses and increase their income, they decide to leave their ancestral home and rent it to a more affluent family, Admiral Croft and his wife, who have returned from the sea. The Elliot's second daughter, Anne Elliot, is the novel's protagonist. 8 years before the novel's events, Anne had been briefly engaged to Captain Frederick Wentworth, but she was persuaded to break off the engagement by her family, especially her close friend Lady Russell. Wentworth, a young naval officer at the time, did not possess the social status or wealth deemed suitable for Anne by her family. Anne deeply regrets this decision. Captain Wentworth, now successful and wealthy, returns to the area after the Napoleonic Wars with a newfound social acceptability, thanks to his naval rank and prize money. Anne still carries strong feelings for him, but her prospects for a suitable match are limited due to her family's financial circumstances. As Anne navigates her family's social circle in Bath, she encounters Captain Wentworth once again. She must grapple with her lingering love for him while dealing with her father's narcissism, her elder sister's arrogance, and her younger sister Mary's constant complaints and hypochondria. Anne's journey also involves meeting her estranged cousin, Mr. Elliot, who is said to inherit the family estate of Kellynch Hall. Captain Wentworth, who is also in Bath, is seemingly showing interest in Louisa Musgrove, a young woman from the neighborhood, causing jealousy and turmoil among the characters. Anne's life becomes more complicated as she learns more about Mr. Elliot and his intentions, while her feelings for Captain Wentworth intensify. A visit to Lyme Regis with friends, including Captain Wentworth, takes an unfortunate turn when an accident befalls Louisa. Anne is the only one with composure, and her practicality and decisiveness save Louisa. After this incident, Anne receives news that Louisa and Captain Benwick are engaged, freeing Captain Wentworth from any potential obligations to Louisa. The novel progresses with Anne and Captain Wentworth's paths frequently crossing in Bath and the realization of their mutual feelings. Their misunderstandings are cleared, and Captain Wentworth writes Anne a heartfelt letter expressing his love. Their engagement is sealed, bringing a satisfying conclusion to the story. Major themes of the novel: Second chances in love. Persuasion explores the theme of second chances in love as Anne and Captain Wentworth rediscover their feelings for each other after a separation of 8 years. It underscores the notion that true love can withstand the test of time and circumstances. Social class and wealth. The novel delves into social class and wealth as factors influencing marriage choices. Anne's previous rejection of Captain Wentworth reflects her family's snobbery and their adherence to societal norms. Persuasion and influence. The theme of persuasion runs throughout the novel, highlighting how individuals are influenced by others, whether for good or ill. The consequences of yielding to persuasion or making independent choices are explored. Family and relationships. Family dynamics and relationships play a central role in the story. Anne's complex relationships with her family members, particularly her father and sisters, contribute to her character development. Change and constancy. The novel examines themes of change and constancy as characters evolve and circumstances shift. Anne's steadfastness in her love for Captain Wentworth. Change and constancy. The novel examines the themes of change and constancy as characters evolve and circumstances shift. Anne's steadfastness in her love for Captain Wentworth contrasts with the changing fortunes of her family and acquaintances. Romantic novel and reality. Jane Austen explores the contrast between the romantic ideals presented in novels and the realities of life, underscoring the need to balance one's emotions and societal expectations. Persuasion is celebrated for its insightful exploration of love and social norms, offering a heartfelt and satisfying conclusion to Anne and Captain Wentworth's love story. It remains a beloved work in Jane Austen's canon, showcasing her wit and keen observations on human nature and relationships. Lady Susan. Lady Susan is a lesser known work by Jane Austen, written as an epistolary novel, which means it's composed of a series of letters between the characters. Lady Susan introduces readers to the title character Lady Susan Vernon, a recently widowed and attractive woman known for her charm. She pays an unexpected visit to her brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Charles and Catherine Vernon, at their country residence Churchill. Her visit is met with unease, especially by Catherine, as Lady Susan had previously tried to prevent Catherine's marriage to Charles and was known as the most accomplished coquette in England. Shortly after her arrival, Lady Susan begins to captivate Catherine's brother, Reginald de Courcy, despite Catherine's attempts to warn him about her character. Reginald becomes infatuated with Lady Susan, who initially manipulates his affections for amusement and later out of spite toward Catherine. Lady Susan's confidant, Mrs. Johnson, advises her to marry Reginald, but Lady Susan remains focused on Mr. Mainwaring, with whom she is involved in an affair. The novel delves into Lady Susan's complex romantic pursuits, her manipulative and calculating nature, and her ability to charm and deceive men. The story takes a turn when Lady Susan's 16-year-old daughter, Frederica, arrives. Frederica, repulsed by her mother's plan to marry her off to an odious suitor, seeks refuge at Churchill. Although she is quite unlike her mother in character, Catherine comes to like her. As time passes, Catherine becomes aware of Frederica's growing attachment to Reginald. Sir James Martin, the unsuitable suitor chosen by Lady Susan for Frederica, arrives uninvited, causing further distress to Frederica. Through a series of events and personal interactions, Reginald begins to suspect Lady Susan's true nature, especially when he encounters Mrs. Mainwaring, Mr. Mainwaring's wife, at Mr. Johnson's home. The novel concludes with Lady Susan marrying Sir James Martin herself and allowing Frederica to stay at Churchill under the care of Charles and Catherine. Reginald, no longer under Lady Susan's spell, decides to marry someone else. Lady Susan stands out among Jane Austen's works due to the unique character of its protagonist. Lady Susan is portrayed as a manipulative and self serving woman who defies the conventional standards of the romantic novel. She is intelligent, witty, and charming, traits that she uses to achieve her goals. This novella offers a different perspective on the themes and character types typically found in Austen's novels. Lady Susan's subversion of societal norms, her active role, and her unashamed relationship with a married man makes her character distinct. Unlike some of Austen's more moralistic works, Lady Susan depicts a morally ambiguous character who is not severely punished for her actions. In contrast, the adulteress Maria Bertram in Mansfield Park faces significant consequences for her behavior. The epistolary format of the novel, composed entirely of letters, provides insights into the character's thoughts and motivations. This style allows readers to witness the unfolding events and relationships from various perspectives. Lady Susan is often considered a precursor to Austen's later works and offers a fascinating exploration of character and social norms, providing a unique and engaging perspective on human nature and relationships. While it may not be as well known as some of her other novels, it is a valuable addition to Austen's literary legacy.